There is no past self to overcome, and there is no future self to achieve. And what I mean by that is I feel like we spend a lot of time in reference to time. We're worried about what happened then and what's going to happen later, but we have to realize that now is the time. There is nothing else that exists outside of this moment right here. The past was a previous moment that you had in the present. The future, in the same way, is the present moment. And all you can do, all you can control, all you have the power to truly focus on is the present moment. You know, if we live life constantly in reference to the past, we'll do nothing but recreate it. If we live life constantly in reference to the future, we'll fail to appreciate what we have now. It's about having gratitude and appreciation for everything that exists within your vicinity, but also being aware of potential possibility. Not being enamored in it, not living in it, but bringing it to you in the present moment. And I know that concept is kind of hard to, I don't know, articulate, kind of absorb, but I really think it's important for us to acknowledge that, you know, the present moment is really where we have time to flourish and potential to, you know, live out who we are as people as well as what we wish to achieve. A lot of us spend life reference to our past traumas, our past events, and I said it in another video, but you know, if we fail to move forward, we can't leave anything behind. And part of being able to move forward is acknowledgement of the present moment. Acknowledgement that you're no longer in your past. You're not in your future yet, but acknowledgement that you're right here, right now, and you have the potential to carve out your future. It's about not necessarily disregarding what has happened, but realizing it's a happened, not a happening. We suffer over and over again in our head. And I'm kind of repeating myself from my last video, but that's because I feel like this is a very prevalent topic nowadays. You know, part of what makes it uncomfortable to change, part of it what makes it uncomfortable to grow is our attachment to ourselves, our attachment to our previous self. And when I say growth, I mean positive. I don't think, you know, negative growth. I would just call that change. I'm talking about growth. And it's about being aware of what's somewhat driving you, being aware of what parts of you are from you. I wanted to title this video that what parts of you are from you, but I felt like this topic is more expansive. I can go more in depth. So in saying that, now is the time. I mean, there is no other time than now. You know, this is where we have our energy. This is where we have our attention, our focus, our consciousness. This is where we can put our energy into something and actually see the fruits of our labor flourish. You know, you can't sow seeds in the past. You can't sow seeds in the future either unless you take the time in that present moment to sow the seeds to reap the reward. You don't reap what you don't sow. And if you don't sow, you reap nothing. So you have to, you know, do something. Especially if you have any aspirations, if you have anything you want to tend towards. And I feel like sometimes people who don't have anything they want to tend towards don't have it, particularly for the reason that they look to the past to try to find out what they want to do. And in looking to the future to find out what you want to do, it's kind of difficult too. You have to realize what you like now and how you feel like that's going to relate to your future self and how you feel like you can bring that to yourself rather than just allow it to sit in limbo. You know, in my experience, you know, regarding that now is the time, and regarding that, you know, time is a really relative thing. I feel like I've gotten caught up in not necessarily the past, but you know, like I guess I would call it the past. I would call it the past because I feel like a lot of the stuff we go through replays in our head. I feel like sometimes we get addicted to that chemical imbalance, that chemical rush that we feel from just being in somewhat a negative space or somewhat being in a space of stimulation. And I feel like there is some comfort in that stimulation, but it's not a good one. I feel like we have to find comfort in being uncomfortable without stimulation, or comfortable being stimulated to the lower degrees. And I feel like part of that is because of how much we absorb like social media and things like that today, and how it's kind of stripped our ability to appreciate just sort of the mundane things and aspects of life that don't necessarily provide us with like dopamine, serotonin, just that don't necessarily impact our reward system. Like, I feel like once we take that step back and allow ourselves to experience life kind of slow, kind of intimately, you allow yourself to be a part of life and move with it rather than just trying to be someone that observes it. You're someone that's within it. Don't try to see the life, try to be it. Embody the life you want to live. Don't look for it. Do what you can with what you have. I feel like this all connects. It's a full circle moment for me. But like, I feel like that's one thing about my stuff that I appreciate, the art of it, how it connects to itself. But in saying that, like, I don't even know what I said. Anyways, what you have, something, but or what you have is what you can give. I don't know if I said that, but it relates to that as well. In giving to yourself and giving to your surrounding environment, you have to at first acknowledge that you have something. You have to acknowledge that you are somebody, you are a person, you are something that has influence, whether that be over yourself or over other people or other things or other whatever. It's about the realization that, you don't have infinite time here. You don't have infinite time to appreciate what you want. And that's what makes it all the more important to be grateful and appreciate. To be present with yourself and loving of everything around you. The goods, the ups and downs. Sometimes you have to appreciate the downs in order to acknowledge the ups. And that's kind of a tough lesson that I had to not necessarily deal with recently, but I've been super busy. Like, more busy than I've ever been in my life. But, it makes me appreciate the times when things are slow. Like right now I feel like I'm rushing for a wait, but I feel like once I'm waiting, I'll be waiting for a rush. Frank Ocean. All that to say that, you have to appreciate whatever phase of life, whatever season you're in right now. You have to appreciate all your seasons. They all serve a purpose. They all are important and integral to who we are becoming and who we wish to become in the future. You can't, a tree doesn't grow overnight. It takes time. And sometimes trees don't have leaves. Sometimes you're not shining. Sometimes you're not going to be in the light. But at all times, you're alive. And that's something to appreciate. At all times, you have the ability, you have the capacity to be grateful for something. Whether that just be the fact that you're alive or the fact that, other people are alive in your life or that you have anything. But most of all, be appreciative that you have yourself. I feel like one of the most important things in mental health is to make a friend out of yourself. Once you become a friend to yourself, it's not that you won't need other friends. It's that you'll appreciate your own company. You'll figure out what you like and you'll be able to keep better company. Keep more people around you that are going to make you feel more like yourself. Because I feel like that's when people are the happiest, when they feel most like themselves. Because I feel like when we're sad, we don't feel like ourselves. A lot of people will say, oh, I haven't been feeling like myself lately. Like they're saying that they haven't been in a positive headspace. It's about finding the things that make you feel like yourself, finding your way back to yourself in all things. And there was a quote by Miyamoto Musashi that I still have yet to understand, but I kind of wanted to put it out there. Once it was like, once you understand the way, you'll start seeing the way in everything. You'll see it expressed in everything. And I feel like there was a point where I kind of understood that, but I feel like that's kind of the ebbs and flows of it. I feel like all of our expression is tending towards something. And in that same token, we have to be present enough to acknowledge when we are tending towards something, whether that be positive or negative. And realizing that, the time is now, and realizing that now is the time, we have to realize how much, we have to be here to experience that. Time is very relative. Time doesn't exist, but growth does. But that's all, has to be a present thing. And saying time doesn't exist, I'm not saying don't reference the past or the future. I'm saying exist in the present. I feel like it's very important to have your solid foundation grounded here. So even when you are pulled away, you have somewhere to come back to. I feel like sometimes we get caught up in our past, we get caught up in that feeling, that expression, and we live in that feeling for so long that we forget where we were when we first had it. Not to say we don't forget the circumstances or events that caused it, but in saying that, we forget sometimes why we carry these things so long. You know, don't let yesterday's troubles bleed into today if they're not genuinely affecting you. And I'm just saying that with sort of tedious stuff. Of course, there are grand things in life that, you know, serve to impact us day to day. But in those things that don't, in those things that are within our own connotation, perspective, and an ability to perceive, we have to be the ones to make that choice and that proper judgment to choose ourselves. Choose yourself. I feel like that's what this whole video is about. Just choosing yourself, choosing your moment, and choosing to be here with yourself rather than in your head with a previous version of yourself. I feel like even when things get negative, even when you at sometimes do negative things, we're all human. It's not about, you know, beating yourself up, but taking responsibility and accountability. Realizing that, at times you do stuff and at times you have to accept that. But in accepting it, it's not just about beating yourself up. I wouldn't say do that too much. So I don't really understand that sort of aspect of it. But suffer as much as you may need to, might, but give yourself grace at the same time. We have to be really forgiving of ourselves, but don't be forgiving in the sense that you're just like, oh, I'm human, I could do what I want. But in the sense that, like, oh, I'm human, I make mistakes, I'll do better next time, I'll learn. I feel like part of the human experience is that constant learning, that constant upheaval of information, knowledge, and stimulus. The time is now. Like, you have to do what you can with what you have. And all you have is right here, right now. Your future possessions aren't here right now. That's not necessarily mean don't not acknowledge them. You should be feeling it, bringing it to the present moment, but also realize that you have things now. There's plenty of things to be grateful for in your present, and that's not saying be comfortable, but be appreciative. And if you made it this far in the video, I feel like I was jumping back and forth on this one. I kind of appreciate it though. Thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you didn't, thank you for watching anyway. I really hope everybody's day's going well. I hope everybody's season's tending towards something good. But yeah, I'll have some more free time soon. I know I promised to stream last Sunday, but I got super busy again. But after this week, I should have more time, honestly. And yeah. So thank you. Make sure you're being intentional with yourself. Make sure you're staying on top of your mental. Even if it gets negative, take this time to feel it, but also acknowledge when it's too much. Acknowledge when you're reliving out the struggle instead of moving forward. All in all, thank you.